today we have a very, very capable analyst. We have Damisi all the way from Madrid. Madridist. We have Lamid, famous Lamid. Actually, the curator of this whole thing, like literally I started the idea. Of course, an Arsenal fan, best club in the world. And then and then we have Fuchi with wisdom, discernment, visual insight. And then, of course, you have me, obviously repping Miami, but at the same time, Arsenal fans. So, we're just here to dissect what's been going on this week. I know everybody's been talking about, first of all, how the Premier League has been literally like outspending the rest of the leagues. It's not even just this window. It's not even just this year. It's been going on for like half a decade or maybe more or so if we go back. And it's actually crazy because for obvious reasons, the Premier League is the most marketable and definitely making the most money. But at the same time, we want to like talk about like, look, what are the implications of where the Premier League is now? Because it doesn't look like that ship is slowing down anytime soon. If anything, we're spending more money, like with new ownerships, with new directions for the clubs. We see a club like Arsenal that 10 years ago, our record signing was maybe like 40M, and now we just dropped 105 for Rice. So that's kind of like what we want to talk about. Like, let's make sense of how this is going to make football look, how this is going to make the Premier League look, and how we can see like the Premier League becoming the new Super League in essence. So I'm going to start off with Lamid. I want Lamid to kind of give us some insight into, look, like Lamid actually reached out to me earlier this week, and he said, you know that the Premier League outspent everyone this transfer window alone in June. Like just to kind of like rationalize that, Lamid is gonna expand on this. The transfer window hasn't opened for Europe essentially, and the Premier League has already spent £700 million. So it's just a mad thing. Like, I don't think we're seeing that 5 years ago. I don't think we're seeing that 10, 15 years ago. So Lamid, like, is the Premier League the new Super League? Like, is this what we're gonna see like moving forward? Like, is this the new normal, or is it gonna get even crazier? Let me talk to it.
Give you like a little bit of correction, not necessarily correction, but so it's 700 million, so it's potentially going to rise to 816 million pounds just for June. So the crazy part is, it is just for June. So we are not even talking about, the Premier League is not done. So this is just June, and this is what the Premier League is potentially going to spend, because we didn't have the figures of Rice, we didn't have the Mount deal. So it's crazy. That's already over 170.
Yeah, that's
170. So that's a lot of money. So I think it's gonna get worse. Of course, I'm an Arsenal fan, but so I look at the other leagues. Yeah, I look at Spanish league, I look at the Italian league, look at the Bundesliga, and this is just, honestly, for me, I think this is just pure bowling. This is just financial muscle, because I can't imagine. I don't think I can remember when Arsenal bullied Bayern Munich off a deal. We've bullied these guys twice already. First with Albert and with Rice. They were actually up their Rice. So the idea that this is happening now, for me personally, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think it's good for football. And this is not me taking it away from. Yeah, so it is nothing that this should happen. Personally, I think it should happen because they've worked for it. But I still think it is just pure bullying. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at the Spanish league with the Spanish president, the Tebas guy, the FA president, I think. Tebas.
the league, yeah.
The league.
La Liga, yes.
La Liga.
Yeah, he complained about.
I don't think that one is making things easy for them. But for some reason, like, I think it's very, really unfair. Like, we used to know the Spanish league as one league to spend money, but now they are literally not even spending. And if it's just Madrid, just take away Madrid and the signing of Bellingham. The rest of the league in June have not spent up to 60 million. You have crazy that thing in June. Like, take out Madrid and Bellingham. The rest of the league have not spent up Barcelona have not spent the time. They are hustling for free transfers. And we know the situation of Barcelona. Yeah, so for me, I still think Italian League, Italian League.
Also, we are bankrupt at the moment. We said also.
You know, so I think it's going to get to a point where Premier League teams get bored. I don't know if I'm overthinking it because, everything is there. Although we are not having the best players yet, but I still think, like I said earlier, I don't think this is right. I worry for other leagues personally. Yeah.
Yeah, when you say bored, you mean like no competition? Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy to say. Like Premier League is getting bored, and I'm going to come to you now, and that means just because Lamid mentioned La Liga, and it's like that's actually wild. You have two of the biggest clubs in the history of football, in the history of the sports, Madrid and Barcelona in La Liga, but then the gap is so wide. Like I don't understand. I know like the Premier League is making more money, but what's going on in the La Liga as regards? Is it because of branding? Is it because like the La Liga is not appealing in a sense to like the modern day fan? Like I talk to kids. I have two godchildren, two godsons, and they don't even like care about La Liga, and they are like sports fans. They are soccer fans. Like they care more about Bundesliga than the La Liga. Like that's fact. They talk about Nkunku. They talk about players in Germany, and it's like, is there a branding issue? Is there something La Liga is doing wrong? Does Madrid and Barca have to take more responsibility to be more capitalist in the sense, more like appealing to fans? Like, how do you see that? Like, how do you see them rectifying that issue? Because it is an issue.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is club ownership in England is not the same as you have in those other leagues. It's not the same. You can have like full control in England. You can't do that in Germany for the most part. You can't own more than 49% of Bayern Munich. You can't own more than 49% of Real Madrid. You can't own more than 49% of Barcelona. So once you have like a limit, everyone knows Perez, right? But everyone knows that it's not the owner of the team. It's just the president. He has an election, the fans vote. If they don't want you to get you out. So that's the first thing. First thing is that it's not like a free market like you have in England. So, and what that does to running of a club is that it limits your powers. It really limits. Todd Bowley has just been there for a year, but he has done more transactions than some clubs have done in their lifetime. Like way more transactions. From what he has spent buying to what he has spent selling, he has done transactions up to like $1 billion in the last 1 year. Do you understand? But it's easier for him to do that because he's the all in all. When Roman was there, it was the same thing. You play nonsense this week as a coach, he fires you next week. He doesn't care. Right? It's very easy for you to do that. You guys are Arsenal fans. Remember how difficult it was for you to make money decisions when Stan Kroenke was in charge. And Usmanov had money, right? But just couldn't do a lot because of his shareholding capacity. So I think that's the first part, that the markets are not the same. And I think if you're looking at it on a league level, the Premier League has outspent most leagues from time. But yes, I get it. The margin is getting wider. In the last 10 years, I think Barcelona has done, especially because they are on the top of the most debts, like in European football right now, it's like $1.2 billion. Yeah. So they've done some very silly deals financially. They've done some very silly deals. I tell my friends, and I think we all know it, that football contracts are not hard in isolation. You know, you work in a place and they try to encourage you not to tell your colleagues how much you make, and everyone's just quiet and doing their work, and people are getting lowballed. In football, it's almost impossible because you need to file taxes, right? So that's public records. So eventually, you will see how much this guy was registered for and how much is being paid. So that his own taxes, even as a player, gets recorded. So as an agent, if I see that and I know the quality of my own player and I know it's an 11-man spot, it's not possible for my player to join this team and he's getting paid like 1/10 of what this other guy is getting paid, even though I know my player is my scrub.
Yeah.
So what happens is that if you have a player of like Messi's caliber in a team, as much as everyone knows Messi is like miles ahead of most players on the team, the agents of players like Suarez and Neymar will try to get their guys considerably big contracts. So let's say Messi is on like 800,000 a week. There's no way Neymar's agent to be negotiating 200. he knows he won't get 800, right? But he will say, okay, can I get like 500? So that way, the team cap just keeps ballooning like beyond what they even want. And unfortunately, football contracts are guaranteed for the most part. So a player can even join your team on big money and it's not giving the returns you want. And now you don't have on-field success and you're stuck with him. Dembele is an example of that, right? Coutinho was also a very obvious example. They spent 120 million getting him. They couldn't win with him. They had to loan him. Unfortunately, even when went to Bayern and won the Champions League. So I think they've done like some unreasonable business in that part. And even before now, even when they were doing smart business, it was just Madrid and Barcelona in Spain. So I don't think the gap is going to get smaller. Before we started this room, we talked about how the rights in the US are being negotiated and being fought for by Amazon and Google.
Yeah.
Because NBC has the rights right now. So I think the Premier League will always be up there regarding like spending. And like you said, when Lamid made that quote of maybe the best players. So I think that's the other part of the conversation that, yes, it doesn't automatically translate, even though it's a very big part in getting the best players. And I just think if Madrid and Barcelona don't get their stuff together regarding signings, then the league can be done. And I get where Tebas is coming from.
Okay, good. That makes sense actually from a business standpoint. And Uche is like, hearing all this now, like, I want to start from like being an Arsenal fan, and we talk about this a lot, just from a fan perspective. We'll have arguments with, I don't want to call Adetunji into this, but like, we'll have arguments.
A City fan.
A City fan. And he's like defending, yes, we have money, we're making money from the Middle East, we're doing these deals, we don't care about FFP because
Even though we saw some cheating involved.
It's also
Involved in UK.
Our end of the argument is, as a football fan, like, this is not why we started watching football. So you guys have finesse, accounts and, bring players in that, just literally like kill equality in the game, kill the competition essentially. Why are we watching the game? We get you want to win trophies, you're a fan, yes, but not just as a Man City fan, as a football fan, like, this doesn't make sense. So I want to come to you, like, this is where football is right now. Everybody spending money. Arsenal, Bank of England club has just spent 200 million pounds in June. We're still going to buy at least one or two more players. All big, we make some sense. And then you're coming to like other clubs like, Saudi Arabia spending a lot of money. You're looking at like the outlook generally moving into the next like 2, 3, not just transforming over 2, 3, 4 seasons. And we're going to see more people spending and then there's obviously expansion coming into the US. They talked about the Super League. They are talking about the Club World Cup. All these things are just for capital, like bottom line. Like they want to make more money. They want to like kind of like feed off of this like drug and hunger for what the game is now. Like, do you think? Let me just summarize like what I'm saying. Like, do you want us now to get like a $50 billion Qatari owner or Dubai owner? Do you feel like that's where the game is and everybody just has to fall in line and this is what the sport is? Or like, how do you see this evolving? What are your thoughts on this?
I feel like at this point, as much as many people might not agree with me, I feel like the influx of obscene amounts of money has sucked the soul out of the game in a sense. And most footballers, you see, especially young footballers, instead of continuing their development at the club, it's about, following the money and things like that. So the soul and the essence of the game, what's called the beautiful game for a reason by the late Pele, God rest his soul. The essence of the game gets sucked, based by virtue of the influx of money that comes in. But at this point, we're fans, right? We're fans, and most of us are fickle. It's about winning. And many clubs have shown us the blueprint now that you spend the money, success inevitably comes. It might be delayed, but it will come, right? There's a certain club who I don't like, but just won the Champions League last season. And as much as it was painful to see, we just have to get with the program at this point. It's a blueprint that works. It's a blueprint that works, right? Ibrahimovic came in 2003, has spent squillions, basically, and I think they won the Champions League within 9 years, and they've won it twice. Right? So it's in blueprint. It's in blueprint that has an end result. That it might be delayed, but the end result will surely come. At Arsenal, we pride ourselves on having a self-sustainable model and how we want to build organically and sign players by, generating income the right way. And maybe there's a conveyor belt from Hill End that brings players in, and we nurture those players and they deliver on the pitch after a while. And maybe if the other bigger clubs, which some people might, the bigger club being successful and subjective, in my opinion, Arsenal is the biggest club in the world. Those clubs come and they buy those players off for huge amounts of money, so we make profit. But we've seen a painful time period in the context of being an Arsenal fan. And we've seen clubs who have zero history come into this game as newbies, spend money, and they've won right before our very eyes. So as much as football has been bastardized in the commercial sense, I think we need to get with the program. If there is some kind of investment from the Middle East community that would give us an obscene amount of money and that would allow us to dominate because we're hungry, because Arsenal fans are hungry for success, that would come in, allow us to dominate. I have no reservations. I at least it would help us compete, and let's see if our own cycle of success would come around again.